You're listening to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro, the place to learn about new technology and technological advances before they become mainstream. This podcast is sponsored by Ingram Micro's Imagine Next. It's not about the destination. It's about going someplace you never thought possible. Go to imaginenext.ingrammicro.com to find out more. Let's get into it.
Welcome to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro. I'm your host, Keri Roberts, and my guests today are Alex Scharf, the MSP Business Development Manager for End User Computing at VMware, and Mike Furedy, the End User Computing Partner Specialist at VMware. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. Excited to have you here today.
Thanks.
Thank you, Keri. Excited to be here.
Now, you recently had a school come to you with a need for laptops and security so they could create an at-home learning experience. Can you tell us what this school was needing and how you were able to help?
Yeah, sure thing, Keri. So, when it comes to providing an e-learning platform, we have a lot of examples of customers that we're currently working with today. This one specific opportunity came through us through one of our service provider partners, one of our MSPs, and they were working with a school in Canada, actually. And they were looking for a strategy to enable e-learning for approximately 5,000 students. So the school was challenged, as you can imagine, with not having, some students at home that were remote, not having internet access so they could participate in the online curriculum. And the customer engaged our service provider to help them quickly build out a solution using Chromebooks and an Android device that could be used as a mobile hotspot. And obviously, a huge concern from the school board was they needed to ensure that the students were accessing the appropriate content only, and they would stay within the limits of the predefined data plan. So they actually use one of the versions of Workspace One, which is our UEM product that has telecom expense management built into that to kind of help govern the access and do the things they needed to do, blended with like their own special managed services handling the deployment of those devices and whatnot too. So at the end, it was a really good solution, leveraging not only the VMware technology but also the services and the aptitude of one of our value-added partners.
No, that's great. I'm sure they greatly appreciated it and kind of takes the burden off of them to make sure everything is secure and easy for their students. And, during the current time, all organizations have to create a remote workforce. But in general, for organizations that want to either continue to create a remote workforce or maybe they want to start a remote workforce in the future, how can they do that quickly and successfully? Are there any tips or steps that you could give that they could take so that it supports employees, business, and IT?
Sure, Keri. So, there's really been a lot of buzz around this, work from home demands. The standard norm for employees revolved around coming into an office, in-person IT visit, receiving a staged corporate laptop or phone or whatever device they were going to work off to really begin their roles and responsibilities. This process is really rapidly disappearing. It's not really slowly fading out. So one of the answers really is BYOD, bringing your own device. This isn't just a nice to have for organizations anymore to maybe deliver email to employees on their personal phones. It's really now going to be that quote unquote skeleton key for remote workforce to gain entry into the corporate resources. So when we look at supply chains today, the ability to distribute a physical machine or a device has really been disrupted. So we kind of have to look at it like we have to use with what we got mentality. And, looking at it from a marketplace, Win 10 was released about 5 years ago and really making up to more than 70% of the platforms in the PC market. A BYOD desktop policy is a great way to provide a platform for either new hire employees, current employees to leverage during onboarding, or to get work done from home. Of course, BYOD comes with challenges, but through VMware's Workspace One solution, this platform can really bridge that gap between the IT security and employee experience.
Real quick, before we jump straight back into the episode today, we want to tell you about Ingram Micro Financial Solutions and how you can maximize your buying power and get to yes with your customers faster. For the last 9 years, Ingram Micro has been Channel Pro's reader's choice for best financing options. Put the power of our credit and leasing options to work for you. You can easily contact Financial Solutions at ingrammicro.com. All right, let's get back to the show.
And as you're talking about, the VMware Workspace One platform is a product offered by VMware. How does it enable all of the corporate access needs in a secure way while also making it simple for the end user?
Yeah, and Keri, that's a great question. So if we take a step back and look at take a look at the 30,000 foot view, essentially we've taken the three most important pillars of end user computing, or EUC as we call it here at VMware, and built them into the digital workspace platform that we call Workspace ONE that Mike was talking about. So we have identity, unified endpoint management, or UEM, and VDI. So with Workspace ONE Access, we enable that single sign-on experience across any device type centered around any identity or any end user. With the unified endpoint management component, we provide a single pane of glass for IT to manage any and all types of devices, operating systems, et cetera. And with the VDI component, we incorporate Horizon for the delivery of the virtual desktops and applications. So if we go back to what Mike was saying, as we mentioned earlier, it really is bridging the gap between IT and all the security concerns that they have, and really in giving the end user that employee experience, which is going to be the key, right? Because if you don't like the device that you're given, at the end of the day, you're not going to use it, right? So really, this creates a great experience because the admins within the IT community, they can create the digital blueprint for the specific operating systems and fulfill the security requirements by the different departments and different kinds of end users out there. And on the other hand, when it comes to the employee experience, this is where the BYOD comes into play, and it allows the end user to work on whatever device, whatever operating system they feel accustomed to, and that's going to lead to more productive outcomes. So, of course, VMware offers. I think you had mentioned about asking about some pricing. We have commercial pricing, and we also have academic pricing as well too.
That's great. One of the questions we ask on this show a lot is, where do you see technology going within the next year? And this can pertain to what we're talking about specifically or as a whole. So Alex, I'll start with you.
Sure. Well, as far as we're concerned, it's already happened, right? If we would wind back the clock 6 months ago, we wouldn't have think we'd be here where we are today. And this is a shared global impact, right? It's being experienced by many organizations. The next big thing, it's already in our rearview mirror. It is now the question of, how are you going to respond? How are you going to handle all these changes? With the massive shift of work and living conditions, everyone is looking for an answer. As we discussed today, right? Schools are looking at alternative ways to position e-learning platforms, and commercial organizations are now leveraging BYOD to provide, work access to their employees.
Yep, you got it, Alex. And, really wrapping up, with where is, technology going over the next year, it's, how can we leverage a digitally transformed infrastructure that's centered around A, cloud delivery, B, a secure conditional access, and it's C, ultimately Sesame Street simple for employees to use. Again, how are we going to, bridge that IT employee gap? And we think, these are a lot of the questions that directors, CIOs, boards are thinking about and they want to discuss.
I like that. Sesame Street simple. That's really good. Where can people learn more about what we talked about today, or if they want to connect with either of you to ask questions?
Absolutely. We have a external facing site called www.techzone.vmware.com. This site provides access to hands-on labs, how-to videos, demos on demand, anything under the sun across all VMware business units.
Perfect. Well, thank you both so much for being here, and we appreciate your insight.
Thanks for having us, Keri.
Thanks, Keri. Pleasure to be here.
If you like this episode or have a question, join the discussion on Twitter at Ingram TechSol with the hashtag B2B Tech Talk. Thank you for tuning in and subscribing to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro.
You've been listening to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro, hosted by Keri Roberts. This episode was sponsored by Ingram Micro's Imagine Next. B2B Tech Talk is a joint production with Sweetfish Media and Ingram Micro. Ingram Micro production handled by Laura Burton and Christine Fan. To not miss an episode, subscribe today on your favorite podcast platform.